On his return to Vienna after visiting the Ukrainian nuclear power plant in Zaporizhia, the International Atomic Energy Agency chief said that while they were aware of conditions before starting the mission, being on site was an eye-opening experience.
The difference between being there and not being there is like day and night.
And that his priority is the safety of the plant and the workers.
My concern would be, the physical integrity, would be the power supply, and of course the staff. So these are the areas. The rest are things that we can work on: radiation systems, supply chain, all very, very important. All very important. But of course, they have a lesser degree.
The start of the mission to monitor the safety of Europe's largest nuclear power plant is shrouded in controversy. After criticising Grossi's failure to call for the demilitarization of the plant on Thursday, Ukraine accused Russia of manipulating the visit and engaging in blackmail. Russia's defense ministry has strongly denied this and in turn accused Ukraine of practicing nuclear terrorism. Experts say inspectors must be able to provide a clear picture.
The only thing what they can do is to report the facts they see at site. This is the name of the mission, and this hopefully then brings to the international community much better picture what is going to happen, what is happening, and if something unexpected happens, we know it quickly.
IAEA experts will remain at the plant for several more days in order to prepare a full report on the situation.
The Kremlin is likely seeking to capitalize on the significance of seizing areas around Donetsk city that have been contested since 2014 to boost the morale of Russian and proxy forces. This is the latest assessment by the Institute for the Study of War. Russian forces conducted ground attacks southwest of Sloviansk, south and northeast of Bakhmut, and also northwest and southwest of Donetsk city. They have not been successful in advancing towards Siversk or capturing the E40 highway to Sloviansk Bakhmut since the fall of Lysychansk in this area. The Ukrainian General Staff stated that Russian President Vladimir Putin has extended the deadline for Russian forces to capture Donetsk region from the 31st of August to the still highly unlikely target date of the 15th of September, the Institute for the Study of War says. Thus, Russian forces are conducting several redeployments to meet this goal. Not providing any specific date or deadline, Russian President Vladimir Putin reiterated his false framing of Russia's unprovoked invasion of Ukraine as a defensive operation to protect Russia, saying that the purpose of the, quote, special military operation, unquote, is to eliminate the anti-Russian enclave that is forming in Ukraine. Putin's reiteration of an anti-Russian entity that must be defeated militarily to defend Russia reaffirms his maximalist intentions for Ukraine and is likely intended to set the information conditions to call for further Russian efforts and force generation going into the fall and winter of this year.
The G7 is seeking a broad coalition to help impose its cap on the price of Russian oil. This would not only limit the Kremlin's revenue, but reduce prices for consumers. However, many countries around the world are not keen on the idea. The group will need to use other tools to pressure different countries into following suit.
Those who transport Russian oil or oil-based products by sea, for example, can no longer rely on ship insurance from the European Union. That limits Russia's revenue from sales to other countries.
The US Treasury Secretary has welcomed the G7 decision. Reducing fuel prices, which are driving inflation higher, is a big political issue in the States currently. Sanctions on oil have not hit Russia as hard as planned. They've pushed prices up, and therefore Moscow's revenue, while it's found other buyers such as China and India to make up for losses in Western markets. Yet most big oil importers will need to comply for this to be successful, and it's not certain that they will.
The Wadden Sea in the Netherlands is the largest tidal flat system in the world and a UNESCO World Heritage Site. But rising sea levels have submerged it. threatening a unique habitat for several species of wading birds. Researchers are concerned that as global warming accelerates, the impact on this fragile ecosystem could be huge.
That will have a huge effect on the birds. The birds need space to eat. The Wadden is available to them for a shorter period of time, so they have to eat the same amount of food in a shorter period. I think that's going to be a really big problem. Keep in mind that we don't have another Wadden Sea like this one. If so much territory will be lost here, then the birds will have nowhere else to go.
Experts predict losses of between 15 to 90% of mudflats in the future, depending on the rate of global warming. A shortage in mudflats signals worrying news for the future of these little creatures.
Are the Balkans heading down a dangerous path? Kosovo has said that it will push ahead with car registration changes that sparked unrest in August. Albania is a natural ally of Pristina, sharing a common language, yet its leader believes Kosovo has been too rigid in its approach with Serbia.
Everyone knows that I'm 100% sided with the Kosovo government when it comes to the recognition. But it's not a secret that I have a different view than the Kosovo government when it comes to the dialogue with Serbia.
Pristina wants ethnically Serb residents from the north of the territory to use Kosovar license plates and identity documents. But to many Serbs, this is a step too far.
I don't see any solution at the moment. From September the 1st, they will certainly continue with their campaign and try to force Serbs to change their license plates. I don't think he'll be very successful in that. And the Kosovar PM said at the talks in Brussels that he believes he will be very successful.
No country in the region wants this disagreement to escalate. Brussels successfully negotiated a partial deal on the matter in August, but it was exactly that. Partial. Fears are now growing of another showdown between the two sides.
Social media users say it looks like a film scene. Dozens of taxis all gathered in exactly the same place in western Moscow, creating gridlock and forcing drivers to avoid the lengthy tailbacks. Now, the reason for this traffic jam? Well, Russia's largest ride-hailing service, Yandex Taxis, said that it was hit by a cyber attack. It says that on Thursday morning, its drivers received dozens of fake calls, all leading them to the same location. This disrupted Yandex's services and led to the gridlock that you can see. In a statement, they confirmed that they had received an attempt to target Yandex services, and they said that as a result of this, the algorithm for detecting and preventing such attacks has now been improved to prevent similar incidents from taking place in the future. They also said that those drivers who had potentially been stuck in traffic for up to 40 minutes would in the future receive compensation. Now, it's not clear exactly who was behind this cyber attack, but it comes amid Russia's ongoing war in Ukraine, where we've seen fighting on the ground, but also online. And this is not the first time that a Russian company has recently been targeted by a cyber attack. For example, earlier this year, hackers managed to infiltrate a number of Russian state television channels, replacing their coverage with independent footage of the war in Ukraine. As a result of this latest cyber attack targeting Yandex taxis, Russian authorities say that an investigation is ongoing.
Summer is over, which means it's time to go back to school, or even better, back to Hogwarts. Harry Potter enthusiasts return to the Back to Hogwarts event after a 2-year hiatus due to the coronavirus pandemic. Marking the new year, students can test out their wizarding skills with a special wand training workshop.
I think it's incredible. You know, when I was approached to do this back in 2006, to be honest, the person who saw this was David Yates, who's the director of the last 4 Harry Potters and the Fantastic Beasts. He said, mate, there'll be people, kids all over the world doing this in 10 years' time. And now it's way more than 10 years' time, and they still are. Position 5.
Potterheads swapped their normal uniforms for their favourite Hogwarts robes and characters.
I want to see you fighting each other. Very good.
A special version of the Hogwarts Express was boarded. Only platform 9 3/4 was out of bounds to Muggles. Back to Hogwarts will run in King's Cross Station in London from Tuesday 1st of September to Sunday the 4th.